All about peppers, hot and mild, and knowing how to plant which.
And how to turn a small space under a tree into an herb bed. All that coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is sponsored in part by, for all your non-GMO, organic, and heirloom vegetable, flowers, and herb seeds, visit dollarseed.com. Sioux Growing Supply, located in Wausau, Wisconsin, focusing on certified leaf compost, an excellent amendment for poor soil, retains moisture and adds nutrients, which equals less watering. Available in labor saver pre-filled trays and pots, bag and bulk. Visit SiouxCompost.com. Organic fertilizer for the health-conscious organic home gardener. Family owned and operated. Visit thewiveggardeners.com. Don't poison your soil with municipal water. Attach a body, mind, and soil hose filter. Free shipping exclusively through the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Just click on the body, mind, and soil icon. Authentic Haven brand soil conditioner for the home gardener. Easy to brew. Visit ManureTea.com. No measuring, no thinking. Stamp it, plant it, stop plotting, start planting. GardenStamp.com. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. We're planting some peppers today. They're a tropical plant that likes a lot of warmth and heat, and it's that time to plant them here in southeast Wisconsin. We've got a variety of different types of peppers, mild, which we favor, as well as we do have some hot peppers that we use for different cooking applications, as well as grinding them up into have chili powder, as well as giving them to family members who enjoy the heat of a pepper. So we've got a bed here that we've been prepping over the last couple of weeks. We've added about 1 5-gallon bucket of used coffee grounds, which will add a lot of nitrogen. That'll give the plants a good green base, good green color to their growth. Now the peppers we have are in multiple different stages. We have some that we have not transplanted out of our cups that we will just put them in the ground. We have some that actually have blooms on them. We're not going to plant them with the blooms. We're going to pinch the blooms off because that's just going to stress the plant out more, being introduced into a new environment as well as trying to produce fruit. Much like the tomatoes, we go ahead and pinch them off and let them just reestablish their situation in the ground, and when they feel comfortable, they'll put on the new blooms and we'll be having peppers. A lot of these peppers will take about 65 to 70, 80 days, somewhere in that range, but as long as it's hot and they have water, they'll do just fine. Now the way we are going to quadrant this bed off, we are going to separate it in half. Cool or mild peppers on this end, and hot peppers on the end closest to the house. Because a lot of the times, for example, the Honduras sweet pepper and the Honduras hot pepper are identical until you bite into them, and might be a surprise if you're not expecting that. So that's what we've got going on here, and we're just going to start planting them, and we're going to do 3 rows, and we're going to space them about 1 foot apart lengthwise, and about 6 to 8 inches here. We're going to drop a row right down the center, and eventually the plan is this to just become a giant hedge of peppers. And we're in the high end of the garden where they're going to get a lot of sunlight and a lot of heat. So we'll just go ahead and start planting them, and it's really easy to go about planting a pepper. Now weeds will always be a factor, so we'll have to continually weed the beds, but since we've went to this raised berm format where each bed is distinctly identified as a permanent grow space and the walk paths are a permanent walk space, it'll be much easier to manage than previous traditional garden methods that we have practiced. So right here I've just got a normal purple bell pepper. Now the thing you want to keep in mind about peppers is that you don't want to bury them extremely deep. Unlike tomatoes where you can bury them all the way up to the crown or the canopy, peppers, you don't want to do that. Even though they're part of the nightshade family, they don't produce roots all up and down their stem. You will get some root development slightly above soil level, so you can plant them. My recommendations and what we do here is about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch deeper than what they currently are in the container. So with this one here, we've let these dry out slightly so they're easier to maintain and manage than to have a really slimy, sloppy soil that we're trying to plant. And we're just going to put that in the ground, cover it up about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch above where it was, and there we go. That's pretty easy. Now, based on who you talk to, people will say you want to cage your peppers because they have brittle stems, or you don't want to cage your peppers. Well, that's totally up to your discretion and the research you decide to do and the situation that you're growing in. We have never caged our peppers, and they have done very well. So that's just something you want to keep in mind when planting peppers. If you're in a real windy area, caging might be something you want to consider. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the mild peppers planted, and then we'll go down and plant some more hotter peppers and get these all situated in the bed. All right, so we've got about 75% of the bed, probably more like 90% of the bed with mild peppers. There are about 21 here. So I do have a variety of other hot peppers, as well as I've got approximately about 40 mild peppers here that we'll go ahead and plant some at the small garden. That one has no longer survived. So we're going to go ahead and finish this bed out with some hot peppers and some Archo Grande hot peppers, or depending on who you speak to, that might be more of a medium heat pepper. So we're just going to go ahead and plant. I've got 6 here. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll finish the bed out. We do have a differentiation between mild peppers, hot peppers. Again, not a good surprise when you don't know what you're biting into. So once we get these planted, then we're going to come back in and water these very thoroughly, since they are on the high end, on the hot end of the garden, as well as we haven't watered them today or yesterday because we wanted them to be dry enough they would extract from their container very easily. So we'll just go ahead and get these planted, and hot peppers get planted just the same, about a 1/4 inch deeper than what they currently are in the container, spacing the same as well, and we'll get them all planted real nice. Now, one thing that I have been doing that is in some cases here, if the leaves of a plant, the leaves are touching the ground, I go ahead and pinch those leaves off just to keep any bacteria from transitioning from soil to the leaf. It's not going to hurt the pepper at all. All right, so we've got our bed here all planted. We ended up getting 20, about 28 plants in this bed, hot peppers and mild peppers, with pinching off the flower buds on any of them so they have a better chance to restart in a new area. Now, we will end up having a lot more peppers than what we anticipated for. We will plant some at the small garden, and we'll use quite a few there. But what if you are in a situation like we are with an abundance of peppers, tomatoes, or other vegetables? That's what our quick tip this week is all about. Doing things that you were told never to do so we can experiment with some extra plants. Are you like us and you've started a few too many plants indoors and you really feel guilty about maybe just dumping them in the compost pile? Well, this is the time of year that you can be creative and break the rules that you've been told forever not to break. We've got an excessive amount of tomatoes, so we're going to break those rules and do very uncharacteristical things with these tomato plants. We've got some spots in front of our sunchokes. We've got 5 spots there that we're going to put some tomatoes. And then we're also going to do a no-no, which is plant 3 tomato plants inside of our cucumber trellis. As the cucumbers grow up, it'll shade the tomato plants. Yes, I know, but we're going to experiment by placing our tomato plants inside there in cages and seeing if we can get some type of production off of them instead of having to pour these and dump them in the compost pile because we planted too many seeds. So I'm going to get these planted and we're going to see what happens. And it may be the best thing we ever did or the worst thing we ever did, but we've already established and got our tomatoes planted throughout our garden. We've got 53 already in the ground. So whatever we do with these, we will be able to learn for next year whether or not this type of experimental project will work for tomatoes.
One option for flowers for your garden is you can buy flowers from your home and garden center that are already sprouted and ready for you to plant. Now, there's usually deals that you can get on these flowers. You can check your local ads or whatever. However, keep in mind that depending on what kind of climate you're in, the flowers might not be blooming like this at the same time that your vegetables are blooming. So it's good to feed the bees, but at the same time, if you want to attract them at the same time, it might benefit you to plant the flowers, or maybe even start the flowers yourself inside and then transplant them outside so they stay within the same amount of time as your vegetables. Now these are convenient to pick up because they come in these nice little packs. You can just go ahead, plant them where you want them, especially if you want to do maybe some containers or something. You can figure out how many are going to fit in each container. But like I said, you know, they may not bloom at the same time as other plants. Another thing to keep in mind is marigolds do not go well with tomatoes. So you might want to keep in mind, do some research, figure out what plants go with what flowers, what vegetables go with what flowers, and what's going to attract the bees the most. Marigolds attract spider mites, and you don't want spider mites being attracted to your tomato plants. So if you are going to plant marigolds, if you like them, you want to keep them far away from your tomato plants. Maybe put them in a container somewhere to keep them away from your tomato plants. So there you have it, flowers for your garden. So we had this spot here where the compost was, and what we did is we had to move the compost. So when we saw the grass was dead, we saw that the soil looked decent and looked kind of rich. So we took our fork and we fluffed it, as opposed to using the shovel and possibly slicing some worms. We just fluffed the soil that was there. Then we sprinkled the coffee grounds over the top, and we got our coffee grounds. You can get a bucket just like this, any size, for free from your local coffee shop. What we do is we drop the bucket off. Within a day or two, it's ready to go. We pick it up and we can use it for our garden. And worms love the coffee grounds. The coffee grounds are great for your garden, and they just help add nutrients to your soil. We decided to plant herbs here for a few reasons. One is because it gets a lot of shade, and also it gives us a chance to use a spot we were going to plant herbs in our garden. We can put something else there. Since this gets a lot of shade, we don't have to worry about anything else that's going to need flowering or blooms or anything like that. So we put the coffee grounds down and we fluffed up the soil, and we put some Sioux leaf compost on top to add more nutrients to the soil. We're going to plant our herbs, and then hopefully within not too long, by the end of the summer, we'll have some nice herbs. A couple different varieties. I have 3 different varieties of basil, some cilantro, some parsley, and then some chives. So I'm going to go ahead and get those planted, and we'll be all set. Thank you for watching. I'm Holly Bear. Join us next time for more organic gardening and home food preservation. This has been the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. For more information, please visit thewwisconsinvegetablegardener.com.